In 2016, I was nearing the end of my time as an undergrad at a very reputable aviation college. I was excited for the future and optimistic about my possible career paths. But in all honesty, I was also pretty naive and very overtrusting of those who claimed to have my best interest at heart. Around the same time, my husband and I were approached about an exciting new business opportunity. Of course, as many of you have probably guessed, that business opportunity was multi-level marketing. We were given the whole spiel about how it's never been a better time to be in the MLM industry, that the opportunity for growth is limitless, and that if you put in a bit of work, you are guaranteed to make a profit. We were told that if we worked our business, made some sales around our campus, and potentially recruited some of our friends and family, that we could pay off our student loans with the money we made from our business. Luckily, before we even tried to make any sales, I decided to research into multi-level marketing myself, and what I found was a completely different story from what we had been told. Not only did I find government studies that concluded over 99% of MLMers fail, but I also found police reports and articles about how the founder of the MLM we were thinking of joining had been caught performing medical services without a medical license several times and had an extensive criminal history otherwise. Up until the point that I braved the internet looking for unbiased information, I felt as though we had been handed some sort of secret knowledge. It did seem as though MLM was the way of the future and the true path to wealth. I was suckered into believing that everyone possesses the key to their own success, but very few actually use that key to unlock the door of financial freedom. What I didn't know then was that this sort of too good to be true, pie in the sky, positive vibes only mindset had already been tried by thousands and thousands of people almost 200 years ago, before the first MLM ever even existed. The year is 1848. A young foreman named James Marshall is scanning the water below his sawmill when he notices a faint flickering in the riverbed. He picks up from the mud a few small pieces of what seemed to be a gold rock. He thought to himself, is this gold? Marshall places the metal piece between two rocks and attempts to crush it, but the metal is malleable and doesn't break. He rushes back up to the sawmill where he and his workers perform even more tests, but it's unmistakable. He had found gold. A few days later, Marshall travels to Sutter's fort to meet with California colonizer John Sutter, who had employed Marshall to build the sawmill along the American River in Coloma. Marshall excitedly tells Sutter about his discovery in the riverbed, but Sutter actually reacts with horror. Sutter was planning on turning much of the land in the area into an agricultural hub, and if word ever got out that gold had been found near his land, everything he worked for would be jeopardized as gold-hungry travelers descended upon the area. Sutter and Marshall agreed to keep the discovery a secret so that they could keep moving forward with their plans for the land. To Sutter's dismay, the secret of an untapped gold mine was impossible to keep under wraps. A few months after the initial discovery, a newspaper publisher named Samuel Brannon catches wind of gold in Coloma and sets out on his own gold expedition. He retrieves a few pieces of the metal and quickly rushes back to the then small town of San Francisco. He runs through the San Franciscan streets yelling, "Gold! Genuine gold from the American River!" while holding up a small vial of gold flecks. Brannon's announcement caused gold rumors to spread across America like wildfire. Fuel was only added to that fire when then-President James Polk confirmed these rumors while he was addressing Congress. At the beginning of 1949, thousands and thousands of people, now called the 49ers, left their homes and jobs to make the journey to California. There were even those who traveled from as far as Europe, South America, and Asia, risking their lives traveling by sea and scaling dangerous terrain, all in the hopes of striking it rich in California. Over the next few years, it's approximated that 300,000 people made the journey to California in search for gold. In fact, the gold rush was a driving force behind California officially becoming a state in 1850, and laid the foundations for the city of San Francisco to become the booming metropolis it is today. So you're probably wondering what any of this has to do with multi-level marketing. Well, recent studies into the California gold rush and the lives and prosperity of the 49ers has revealed that, just like in MLMs, almost no one who made the dangerous expedition to California actually made any profit. Most who made it to California early on made a small, modest profit, while the majority of those who arrived later actually ended up losing money. The gold rush benefited a very few who got there early enough and just happened to get lucky. One man in particular became insanely wealthy off of the gold rush, but he actually didn't gain his wealth through the mining of gold. This man was Samuel Brannon, the man who drew the attention of the American people to the discovery in the first place. See, when Brannon ran through the streets of San Francisco yelling gold at the top of his lungs, he had a plan. Right before he did this, he went to every store in the area buying up all their mining materials, such as pans, shovels, and picks. He paid only 20 cents for the mining pans, but he resold them to the gold miners for over $15 each. In less than 3 months, he made over $36,000, which would be over $1 million today. He owned several stores in the area, and his mining store at Sutter's Fort averaged about $150,000 in sales each month in 1849, which would be about $5 million today. Samuel Brannon became the first millionaire to come out of California. John Sutter, on the other hand, was right to fear what the gold rush meant for him and his land. As miners flooded the area, they destroyed many of his construction sites, stole his crops and materials, and squatted on much of his land. Sutter ultimately failed to complete what he set out to do and passed away with little to his name. James Marshall, the man who found the gold in the river below his sawmill, spent years trying to collect up all the gold he could, but he ultimately made little profit and passed away penniless. Really, the only people who made a significant profit during the gold rush were those who capitalized on the influx of gold chasers by selling them the tools they needed to mine. If we draw comparisons, this is not unlike those who make it big in the multi-level marketing industry. Millionaires like Worre and Robert Kiyosaki depend upon MLMers who are chasing the dream to line their own pockets. They continually push this idea that MLM is the best and only true way to financial freedom, while simultaneously selling training materials, motivational books, and charging upwards of $50,000 per speaking engagement, which are all aimed at motivating people to stay in their MLMs, even if they are losing money. They say MLM is the best way to make money because the training materials and books they're trying to sell you depend upon you believing MLM is the best way to make money. Never mind the fact that neither of these two men ever even made a living in the MLM industry. For those of you who are ex-MLMers, you're very aware of how MLM companies constantly expect their congregants to buy excess product, bullshit motivational books on financial freedom, and pay hundreds of dollars to attend their conferences that are more like tent revivals. This is because this is actually how many people in the MLM industry make their money, by selling you the tools, just like during the gold rush. They're striking it rich off of the backs of thousands of people who are trying to make money. This comes at the cost of those like John Sutter who are trying to make an honest living by owning legitimate small businesses. So many of my friends who own small businesses and attend local craft fairs must constantly defend their livelihoods against MLMers. They scoop up tent space at these fairs to push their narratives that are little more than pipe dreams. Small businesses are genuinely at threat by large conglomerates masquerading as small businesses. I get it though. The allure of hidden wealth that is just waiting to be unearthed is very hard to resist. I mean, I almost fell for it too back when I was in college, and I'm so thankful that there was information out there at the time about how dangerous and scammy these companies are. The moral of the story is, if you have bought into the idea that MLM is an untapped reservoir of riches, then you may as well spend your days standing on the shores of the American River with a gold pan and a shovel, sifting through the sand and rocks just in the hope that you will spot a fleck of gold. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe and ring the bell. Follow me on Twitter at the Antibot, and I'll see you on the next one. Say bye.